Are you a first-time home buyer or someone who hasn't purchased a home in some time and you have questions about the home buying process? Well, in today's video, I'm going to give you 5 different tips from a real estate agent that, often sees buyers making mistakes in this market. And these 5 tips will help guide you in the right direction to ensure success when you're out looking for homes. My name is Jeb Smith. I'm a real estate broker here in Southern California. I help people buy homes, I help people sell homes, and I often see people making the same mistakes. Well, this video is going to talk about some of those mistakes. I'm going to lay them out and give you tips for success if you're looking to buy a home in 2021. But before we dive into that, I want to take a minute and ask a favor. If you're new to me, new to my channel, it's all about real estate, so do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. And if you find the content useful, give me a thumbs up. I'm always here to answer your questions as well, so if you have those, leave them in the comments below. So I want to start today's video by talking about the number one thing that you should do as a first-time home buyer. Now, I've mentioned this many, many times. This isn't going to be a surprise for a lot of people out there, but it's the most important thing, and that is making sure you are pre-approved. But what is the difference between pre-approval and pre-qualification? We're going to talk about that as well. But pre-approval essentially ensures your success. It's the most fundamental piece of the home buying process. It's where you should start really before doing anything. So in this video, we're going to assume that you have a budget, you have a plan in mind, and you're ready to start that home buying process. So the first thing you're going to do is talk to a mortgage professional. Now, if you don't have someone, reach out to me directly. I'm happy to make that connection for you. But the pre-approval process is essentially where you provide documentation to a lender. That's going to include pay stubs. It's going to include tax returns or W-2s. It's going to include asset account statements, so checking, savings accounts, maybe 401ks, IRAs. You're going to fill out a loan application, and they're going to run your credit. And that lender is going to analyze all of that information and tell you exactly how much you can afford to purchase based on your down payment and all of the information that you provided. Now, once you have that, you're essentially, that's the first step of really buying a home. Now, some people want to go out looking at homes first or contact a real estate agent to show them property without getting pre-approved. And it's a little backwards, especially in the market that we're in right now. The environment that we're in right now is very, very competitive, which means if you see something you like, you really need to have that pre-approval process completed so that you can make an offer in a timely fashion so that you're not behind the 8 ball, so to speak, if it's something you love. The other thing it does is it ensures that you're actually looking in the right price range and that you can actually, qualify to buy a house. A lot of people are out there looking without having done this, and they're actually not in a position to buy for one reason or another. Now, I posed the question a moment ago, what's the difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval? And a pre-qual is essentially just calling someone. Maybe you found them online, maybe you searched the internet, or maybe you just put a little bit of information in about your income, maybe what you thought your credit score was, or what have you, and there's no documentation to back it up. And so that lender or that system might spit out some numbers to you and say, hey, this is how much you can afford based on that information. But you didn't provide any documentation to them, and therefore it's not actually solidified. And you need somebody to go through that information and determine that you're actually in a position to buy based on the documentation that you provided, and also show you different loan programs, etc., and tell you exactly how much you can afford to purchase. So that's why it's crucial in buying a home that pre-approval is really step number one, because it's so important. Looking at homes, I know, is fun. That's the fun part usually. But pre-approval is definitely step number one. Now, the other 4 things I'm going to mention aren't in any particular order, but they're things that you need to do as a home buyer. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or buying a home for the 10th time, these are things that you need to do in that process. And this is one I often see people make mistakes with, but is very, very important, and that is maintaining your credit. What does that mean? Well, when you get pre-approved for a loan, the lender is going to run your credit report. They're going to see your credit scores, and they're going to base the pre-approval off of that credit. Now, if you go out and you start, you buy furniture for a house, or you buy a car, or you get a new credit card, or anything like that, that could affect your credit score. Not only could it affect your score, but if you're taking on additional debt by getting a new car loan, or by taking out a credit card and going and spending the money on something else, or what have you, that could change the amount that you actually qualify for when you're looking to purchase. So by doing things to your credit, it could affect your ability to qualify. And now I've also seen people that have, lower credit scores or whatever, and then they try to, work on their credit while they're in the pre-approval process. Now, that's okay as long as your lender is aware of it and they understand, and they've talked you through it and maybe given you some ideas of what you should do. But don't do that without talking to someone first, because it could change your credit scores and affect your ability to purchase a home. And the last thing you want to do is, after going through that pre-approval process, is mess with your credit in any way, because it could have an effect on the ability to qualify. So just make sure you're maintaining your credit. If you're going to do anything that's going to change your credit, have your credit run, make sure you run it by your lender first, so that they can, walk you through that process and make sure that you're not doing anything that you shouldn't be doing. Now, this third thing is also something that I see happen when buyers are buying homes. And, if you're working with a mortgage professional, chances are they're going to go over this with you. But in some cases, somehow people don't talk about the difference between closing cost and down payment. So when you purchase a home, most cases you're putting a down payment. Now, VA loans allow you to purchase at 100% financing. USDA also has some loans where you can purchase with zero money down, but all other types of financing typically have some sort of down payment. And what I often see is buyers going into the home buying process just thinking that they have to come in with the down payment and not including the closing costs that go along with that down payment. Now, when you're working with a lender up front and you go through that pre-approval process, that lender should give you an idea of what your closing costs would be on a particular loan. When you determine how much you qualify for, that lender should be able to tell you, well, based on that, this is what your closing costs would be. So in addition to your down payment, this is an idea of what you should bring in. I often see home buyers getting into the home buying process, they've been pre-approved, and then they don't realize that there are additional fees outside of their down payment. And so that's something that you want to make sure you're talking to your lender up front about, so that you're not surprised. And now understand, closing costs, down payment, that can come as a form of gift from, a friend or family member or what have you, with proper documentation. But you need to know about it up front so that your lender, can qualify you based on where that money's coming from. Because the last thing, again, that you want to do is get into the process and not have the funds for the down payment and the closing costs. Now, again, the lender should be verifying this information, but I've seen it happen. And so you just want to make sure that you're asking the right questions as a buyer when buying a home. How much money do I need to purchase this property? If I'm qualified for $500,000, what do I need in addition to my down payment in order to buy this home? And now, keep in mind that is, it's going to change a little bit depending on, the type of property that you buy, when you buy it. There are certain factors, but they should be able to give you a rough idea with regards to that amount. And fourth thing is going to be working with a professional real estate agent. Why am I saying this? Because there's a lot of people out there with real estate licenses that don't practice real estate full time. The barrier for entry to get a real estate license is very, very low. So a lot of people have it. Not all agents out there are professional agents. So in this market, it's important that you're working with someone who understands the market, understands the environment that you're in, someone that has experience, can guide you through that process, tell you what you need to do to ensure success. Because, I see a lot of people just using a friend or family member who have a license that don't understand the environment we're in, And those people are likely going to have a very, very difficult time in the housing market that we're in now because, very low inventory, very, very high buyer demand. Competition is fierce out there. So you need an agent that not only understands, the market that you're in, but the area that you're looking to purchase, how homes are selling, how quickly they're selling, how much over asking in some cases, because that is what, the conversations that you need to have when you're putting in offers. You need somebody that can guide you through that process. And I know this sounds like a pitch to work with someone like me, and it kind of is because I'm a professional and I understand the market, but the reality is I'm not licensed wherever you're licensed, chances are where you're buying a house. So if any market that you're in, make sure you're working with a professional. And if you don't have that professional, reach out to me directly. I'm happy to put you in touch with somebody who can guide you through that process. But it's very, very important. I see, often people get frustrated because the process is difficult, and it's even more difficult when you don't have the right person on your side. And lastly, the last thing we're going to talk about today is settling. As a home buyer in this market, do not settle. What do I mean by that? You shouldn't settle in any market when buying a house. Don't just buy a house to buy a house. Don't, when you start the home buying process, you should essentially have a list of things that are important to you in that property. It's something that your real estate agent should discuss with you. And when you're buying a house, maybe you don't get, 10 out of 10 of those things on that list. But the idea is that the things that are most important to you are the things that are non-negotiables, if you will, when looking for a property. And so what I see right now is a lot of people moving to different states, moving out of the area. And, I've seen it many, many times. People have regrets when they buy in areas that they don't want to live because, every day they have to drive there, or every day they come home, they're miserable because it's not the area that they want to be in. And in some cases, people need a 3-bedroom or need a 4-bedroom, and they're willing to buy a house with 2 bedrooms just to buy something with the idea that they're going to be able to, sell it in a couple of years and buy something bigger. And there's some truth to that, but what I would tell you is, make sure whatever is important to you in a property that you're not settling on it, because, that could come back to haunt you. I see it all the time, and in an environment like we're in right now where there's not a lot of property to choose from, I see people settling more now than ever before because they just feel like they're missing out. And understand that there will be more property coming to the market at some point. It might not be tomorrow, or it might not be next month, but you will get more opportunities. So just make sure your real estate agent understands what's important to you, and that you're not just buying something to buy it, and you're not getting pressure from someone to buy something that you really don't want. Make sure you're making the right decisions for you and not settling, because again, I see it as an issue if you're not buying what you want to buy. What I say, there's something in real estate, everybody's heard it: location, 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 right? You can never pick a house up and move it. Well, you can, but in Southern California, these are on slab foundations, so you can't pick those up and move them in most cases. So, buy a house in the area that you want to live in. You can make modifications, you can make changes to that property, but you can never just pick it up and move it. So don't buy in areas that you would normally consider just because there's not something in your market. But again, those are the tips for now. I have a lot more tips that I can provide to you. So if you have additional questions, do me a favor, reach out to me directly. I appreciate all the support that you give me continually, and I'm here if you need anything. So thanks again for watching. We will talk soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.